if through this generational mapping process, what we've seen over and over again, there are really three areas that that significantly impact attrition in our church planting efforts. The first of those is, as we've sought to campaign for years now, that church function. If a church constituted around and corporately stewarding the authorities and the expectations of Christ from Acts chapter 2, Acts chapter 13, that church function, in its presence, the expectation, the local ownership of authority for church function is a significant contributor to the sustainability of church planting. Where elements of function are lacking, we've seen our attrition rate, or authority for those functions is lacking, we've seen our attrition rate go up. It's not the only element. At the same time, we track this idea of church identity. That rather than just the Pauline figure, the church planter, expecting and assuming that new Bible study, that new group, that new gathering of newly baptized believers to be church, but when they self-identify, this idea of closing the loop and understanding and commitment to each other and to the Lord, this matter of identity, where it's in place inside a church, our attrition rate goes down. Our sustainability goes up around self-identifying as church. The third one that seems to stand out is also the presence or the lack of local leaders. I'm going to use that biblical term, elders, interchangeable with pastors, or for that matter, bishop overseers. This idea that local leaders, those that emerge from the congregation, actually play a significant part in the sustainability of that church. Where those leaders, or where that church is dependent upon leaders from outside, we've seen attrition go up. We've seen sustainability go down. So it's interesting then, one of the lessons from GenMapper over time as we watch networks of church planting, the convergence of these three, where there is biblical function, where there is biblical identity owned locally as church, and where there are local leaders, elders, overseers who have emerged from within the congregation, from within the harvest, where those three overlap, we have, if you will, our lowest levels of attrition. Where those three overlap, we have our highest rates of sustainability in church planting. Well, you recognize all three of these tracked with GenMapper, all three of these graphically illustrated by GenMapper for the sake of coaching, for the sake of next stepping disciples and churches towards sustainability.